All right, hey, thanks for tuning in for this week's Drupal 10 readiness stream, where I'll be contributing to Drupal Rector. This contribution this contribution stream is sponsored by Palantir.net, which is a remote-first, agile company that gives back to the Drupal project and community, like by sponsoring me to work on Drupal Rector. If you are looking for a Drupal job, they have a job opening for a Drupal engineer. You can learn more and apply over at their website, www.palantir.net. Again, thank you, Palantir, for sponsoring my time. Palantir is the company, the organizational sponsor behind the Drupal Rector project, but they have graciously sponsored my time to help work on the project. So last week kicked off our first live stream going through and getting Drupal Rector ready for Drupal 10. What that means is we need it to run against a Drupal 9 website and find deprecations and fix them in Drupal 9 in preparation for Drupal 10. I know, like, for me, numbers get confusing. So saying like, oh, well, it needs to be Drupal 9 ready, which means it's getting it ready for Drupal 10. So it is a little confusing back and forth there. But where we left off is we went through we worked through a few pull requests that got merged. Updates, we now have there is a 0.10 release, which is the first release in a year. So that's awesome. The main changes were that we now use Rector 0.10. The last release used Rector 0.7. We now have the new Rector.php configuration, which makes it a lot easier to actually set this up. Previously, there was 2 YAML files, and you had to copy one based off your setup if you used like Acquia, which has Drupal in doc-root, or if you use anyone else where it's web. There's different configuration files you could copy. So that's a lot easier to set up. And if you go to the project's README, it is now up to date to match that. So, but we did find one bug. We originally had it at Rector 0.11, but we're having this really odd problem where inside of ddev, there is let me load it up because I can't remember. So there's this Drupal Rector sandbox, which is what folks use to test a few things. And when we merged Rector 0.11, it worked on somebody's host machine, but when you're inside ddev and ran the analysis, it broke and couldn't find a trait. And we have that logged here in the move to Rector 0.11. I believe we have the error. We did not. Oh, run into conflicts. Let's see if we can find. Okay, here we go. So we have this postponed. We reverted it and we postponed it because when running inside the ddev box, PHP stand said it couldn't find the proper trait for Drupal set message trait. So if I go into our source file again, if you use PHP Storm, the double shift will open this like finder, which lets you type in the class name and it will find it. So it was actually exploding when trying to find this messenger trait which exists. So what I want to do is we can actually run ddev inside of a Github Actions workflow. So I want to run a workflow that takes the Drupal Rector sandbox, starts ddev, and runs Rector inside of ddev, so that way we can verify it always works. So that's going to be what I start on first, and then I plan on getting PHP unit added so we can start testing things, testing all the things. I love tests because it means that things are stable and it makes life easier as you move fast. So let's go ahead and ensure ddev workflow works for PHP 7 and 8. So let's go here. We're going to take this issue, and this is one that's in progress right now. We'll see. This might get merged, but what it did is it removed bhat and added a development dependency that was required for PHP stand in the past. So that's not blocking anything right now. So why don't we let's go through and we'll make a new branch. One thing I was doing is we are managing code on GitHub, but issues on Drupal.org. So it's a little quirky, but this way we can get all of the issue credits we need. Issue credits is how Drupal.org manages contributions by organizations and individuals. So like here, I can say that I'm Bluehorn Matt at Bluehorn Digital, my own company, is doing work for Palantir. So I'm going to assign it to myself, working on adding a GitHub Actions workflow for this. So I'm going to save it. Adding the comment gets my issue credit added to the bottom of the page. So we can see there it is. So it says Bluehorn Digital for Palantir. And the way I've been creating my branches is I take the issue node ID or the issue ID and do a new branch, and I'm just doing issue dash the name there. So let's go get started. Right now we have two workflows. This is a functional test where it creates a Drupal project and runs Rector. We're essentially going to be copying this, but running it against that Rector sandbox, which I keep closing and forgetting the path name to. That's right there. All right. So let's go ahead and create a new workflow. Because we have one for the functional test, one for the PHP stand. So let's call this one the Drupal Rector sandbox. We'll call it that because we're going to just go through and we're going to run the Rector sandbox inside of here. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to just bring this down low so I can copy a few bits of it. So name, Drupal Rector sandbox. I'm pretty sure if you don't specify the name, it just takes the file name. I'm going to say this runs on a push and pull request. What's really cool is this autocomplete, which you get in VS Code as well, is due to there being a JSON schema attached. That's what the schema down here is for. Obviously, there's like a whole bunch you can do. So YAML and JSON YAML can be validated by JSON schema. So we can go here. Let's go to jobs. We're going to create a job called run on sandbox. Name run on sandbox. And one thing, I don't think we have any matrix based runs here. We do not, but I think I added that to one of my pull requests. Because I want this to run on PHP. I want this to work with the two branches that we're creating. We have a PHP 8 and a regular environment. Let me just see here. Yes, we want to run this against PHP 7 and PHP 8. So I'll want a matrix that runs against these two, or maybe we can just run ddev config inside of it. Let's see here. I think I added in the workflow. No, I did not add a matrix. Oh well, we can. Oh, I don't want to close out that completely. We'll skip the matrix for now and just get to work. So I already have an example of this somewhere. Let me load it up on an off screen. So I have this testing workshop environment that actually runs ddev in a workflow, Lando, and a few others. And it's the training workshop I give for doing Drupal testing. So I'm going to go ahead and copy some of the things from the Lando environment, or the ddev environment. So we have on push, test. Let's see, name. Hold on. Test runs on. Why didn't this copy in? Okay, so there we go. So steps, it does a checkout. Then it pulls in the setup ddev action. And I believe that must run a start because we go off to the races here. Let's just make sure. All right, so let's jump to that repository. Oh, no. Let's go GitHub. So yeah, this will install and run the project. We can do ddev composer install. What we need to do is, all right, so we'll get that. If you have your .ddev folder outside your repository root, you can do it with the following. In short, if you need to run additional commands, we've got that fine. All right. So let's go ahead, and I want to clone this repository inside of this workflow. So we got uses, then we do, it'll be run. So we'll do I wonder if we can do a composer create project. It'd probably be faster to do a clone. So I'm assuming then we'll do git clone URL. But how does it want this set up? It doesn't say. All right. It's going to take, it's hard to practice this because you can't always run this locally. So we're going to do a clone, and we'll do it in the direct, 1 second. So run this, I'll create a script. You fork it, and then go inside there, and you branch. So I'll want to clone this to, I'm going to clone it to Sandbox, and I want to give this thing a name. But it keeps doing autocomplete for me, or running around. Let's just, oh my word. All right, there. The tabbing is getting all out of sorts. So we're going to call it name, clone, Drupal Rector, Sandbox, which I'm pretty sure we'll have to do before we get this running based off of this. So because it will install dependencies and applies workaround for Docker Gen, then it starts ddev. All right, so we will want to make sure we configure this to be we'll try this. We'll see if this works. So we're going to clone it. We're going to set up ddev into there. And I guess let's just see what happens. I'm going to get this pushed up right away. Status. I'm going to use the built-in. All right, so we got there. And what I've been doing is copying the commit message from Drupal.org. Let's do a commit and push. All right, so that's pushing to my origin. And I can even open the pull request tabs here. If I click a plus sign. Let's see, is this, yep, so the issue is test. Runs the ddev sandbox environment with the current branch so that we can test failures. To test, there is nothing to test here. Drupal.org issue is this one. Let's create the pull request. And now if we go to the pull request tabs, we've got this working. Didn't copy in my entire. All right. So let's just see how far this gets us to start. And it filled right off the bat. Oh, because I need to do an HTTPS clone. Or actually, GitHub Actions clone additional repository. I wonder if we can use something else in here. Here we go. So that's a private repo. Use token. So let's do that. That seems like a way more intelligent way to do things. So we'll do uses checkout. So name, clones there. And it's with name. Let's see if we can read the instructions, if we can give it a destination. All right, let's see. Repository. Wait, name is not in here anymore. Let's see, fetch all, check out head, check out multiple repos side by side. So path, great. So we're gonna do check out, here we go. We want this. So repository, blah, and path is below on sandbox. And for this, I'm probably just going to keep on doing merge commits or squash amended commits. Let's add that GitHub, git amend, push F. So git amend is an alias I created. I know I've mentioned that a handful of times in here. But in my git config, I have different aliases. Some of these are borrowed from the internet. But amend is commit -- amend because I do a lot of amending commits. And also NB for new branch. And fetch prune. Honestly, these shortcuts for commit, branch, and diff, I don't use. I copied them. Same with patch. Sometimes I use, but I use fetch prune most because that prunes any stale remote data, new branch, and amend. So let's go back to the pull request, and it died again already, maybe. Input path should resolve to a directory under the current directory, current resolve to there. All right, so it does not like. So we'll copy, earlier idea, we're gonna create it in .sandbox. I guess it doesn't even matter there. Yeah, let's just put it there. When I say there, I mean let's just have it be the same repo name. Git amend, git push. I wonder if I can just see it from the Actions tab. Cannot. So let's go to conversation again. All right, queued. All right, so now it's running. So we're getting it to where we'll have ddev running. And what should happen when it runs is it has these scripts where pre-install and post-update or pre-update, it calls develop rector. And that script will clone the environment. We'll clone the repository, which actually we need to not call that. Run on sandbox. Where did this? Oh, shoot. So I have to specify the reference, but it doesn't do that here. Oh, because it needs to be v2. That's where it was wrong, because here couldn't find remote ref from the merge. So let's try updating it. All right, we're getting closer. So while that's going, I'm going to see what the next steps will have to be. So we need to replace the Rector instance that it copies in. So that will be that might be one of the harder parts. Error 2. Clone Rector sandbox. Run. Why did this fail now? Error, no Firefox. Java DDev is not installed. Cannot CD into Drupal Rector sandbox. Well, where did it? Wait. Deleting the contents of work Drupal Rector. Oh, geez. Okay, apparently we do need to specify a path because it will delete the existing workflow. Or the existing repository. So let's do that. And I want to think through this part real quick. So it copies in, it clones Drupal Rector and runs it as a symlink. But we need to replace it in here. So it end up creating a Drupal Rector folder. And we should see it ignored in here. Yeah, so we see it ignored. So I want to figure out how we could do that. Let's look at the script. So if the directory doesn't exist. Okay. And it wants the, it was complaining if we put it in a directory above. So I just want a quick, oh, that's going to be a lot. Main. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to see if that gets us anywhere. Because what I would like to do is just move the repository into there instead of having to do like a symbolic link or like a recursive copy. But I'm afraid that it's probably going to yell at me for cloning into a subdirectory. Source, URL helpers, miscellaneous. Let's see, Git directory helper. No, that's going to be for the .git folder. GitHub API helpers main. All right, main inputs, problem matchers, Git source. So maybe it's in this Git source. Syncing repository. Well, here we'll see. All right, so it cloned, deleting the contents of, we don't want this to, path, repository, fetch stuff there, checking out the ref, fetching the repository, determining the default branch, setting up path, setting up auth, initializing the repository. So it's blowing away our existing branch, and we don't want that. If the existing, we don't want that. We don't want it to be existing. Settings repository path. So let's go this repository, the ref, which we want to just pull out the main token. We don't need a token. SSH key path. Relative path under GitHub Workspace to place the repository. So it has to be relative to there. That's why it got ignored. I'll even put it in quotes to be safe. All right, so there goes my idea of having it be like underneath, or no, relative path to the workspace. So that means it should work. Hold on. We're going to dive into the action a little bit. So main, right? And it was in this get source settings, helper get inputs, input helper get inputs, workspace path is there. Repository path equals get input path or self path resolve is not under workspace path. Okay, so the error will still happen if it's not inside of there. So we do have to put it here. And oh wait, duh. I'm extremely silly. So what if it's there? Name, move sandbox outside of working directory. Run. I don't know why I was overthinking this. So let's move this here. Run, move to above, and GitHub Actions change working directory. I wonder if we can change the working directory. It's now possible to set working directory default for a job. Oh, sweet. So where is this? Using working directory in your workflow can make look like this. It's still quite verbose, but maybe a bit cleaner. I don't see it. Oh, so in the name, you can set it in the step. All right. But I believe in the actions, with what I was looking at, GitHub workspace path. So, okay. That one, this will be useful once we move this. So we're going to move it to there. And name, move repo into sandbox and run. So we're going to run this. We're going to do we're going to cd down, or we'll just cd there. Let's do a move Drupal Rector. We're going to move the entire folder into here. And for kicks, I'll do an ls. And we can say that we're running. Let's try. Schema dependency is violated. Run must be specified since working. Okay, so run only works with, you can only use working directory when running using the run command. So then we'll try this. So after we set up ddev and we specified there, let's do name install composer. we'll say working directory is, all right, so we'll see how far this gets us. So again, to summarize, because I know I'm trying to talk out loud while figuring out what I have no idea that I'm doing. We check out the main repo. We clone the Rector sandbox into the Drupal Rector sandbox path. We're going to move it out of the working directory into something in the subpath or the directory above. Then we're going to move the current repo into the sandbox, so that way it's present when it sets up our configuration. And then we're going to run setup ddev, and then we're going to do composer ddev composer install, and we're going to follow the instructions where you run this. So let's do a name run Rector run. So in the working directory, we want to be Drupal Rector sandbox, and the run command will be this. I don't know why there's the dot there, but we'll use it. I'm going to remove it. I'll just copy it verbatim and use that. No, not custom my module. We want to, running. Here we go. This is what gets symlinked. This is what we want to actually run. All right, so I'm going to give this a shot and we're going to see what happens. So git amend or git add.github, git amend. Oh no, there we go. And git push. Fingers crossed that this works. There is a way to run actions locally using act by Nektos. I'm hoping that's how you say it, Nektos. So it lets you run your GitHub Actions locally. But I've had issues where it doesn't always work out the best. Or it just takes longer. Oh, this already crashed. But I have a feeling that it might be smarter to just do that. Hold on. No such file or directory. Does this not work with, oh, you got to provide absolute paths? Ddev directory. So I think I encountered this too, where parsing relative paths is absolute. Where's the source? How can you contribute to this? There's no main. This looks like it's been so see here where it does exec shell command. Hold on, where's the error? So yeah, it probably doesn't work with probably does not work well when you have a relative directory in there. I had this when I ran my setup Drupal item. Here, I can even pull that up real quick. PWD might be possible. I'll try that. The problem is it's some of the magic. So here, I'm just going to take a look. I know I had to do something in here. Utils resolve path. So like if you pass in the when you pass in the values, it doesn't work right. Like I had to manually convert the tilde key to be the home directory. But so a lot of times the environment variables don't always pass through. But I think we can do it with the that gave me an idea. GitHub Actions, environment variables. Here we go. So what we can do is default environment variables. This is the workspace, home. So we could just do that, place it into home. I think we're going to the same place. If you do it in the call, the variable be interpolated before going to PHP. Yeah, so it's not even to the JavaScript runner. That's the problem, is I don't know if it will be converted properly when passed to, if this variable will be passed to the runner correctly and parsed by JavaScript correctly. But we should be able to do the not workflow syntax. I can never remember the GitHub Actions syntax. So, but what we should be able to do is the expression. We should be able to use the expression, which GitHub context. The default. So I think this might work. Default location of your repository when using the checkout action. We'll try this. We'll try using more absolute paths with this here. Before I go too nuts, I am just going to pass it to this directory, because we'll just see if that does it. Actually, what I'll do is so we did the ls, drop a pwd in there as well. Yeah, the problem's not in the run command. The run command seems to be okay. It's when you provide when you use an action and the width, when you provide inputs to an action, that needs special handling to be involved. That's where things get kind of squirrely, and I had a heck of a time creating my action, because I was like, I just want to do ~/ for home, but providing any, I think you have to use these contexts. At least I hope. I don't even know if the context work inside of those. From the actions, it looks like it might, based off of this example here. So I guess you can use the context. So if this doesn't work, or rather this should work, although it's the wrong working directory, because I did github.workspace, not ... But we'll see where this gets us. Again, no such. So, okay. It worked. It gave us an expanded version of it. So let's see. Again, let's go context and expression syntax. Let's see, environment, no. Runner temp, .temp directory, home. There's no home. So action path, the path where your action is located, that's not what we want. Not the actor. So yeah, we got the workspace. So I think this should do it. I think that will fix it. Git add, git amend, git push. All right. I feel like we're a lot closer, and we'll see if this does it. Because what would be really cool, like at first I thought about running this action on the sandbox, but the thing is we want to catch failures ahead of time. No such file or directory. You know what I'm going to do? Technically, this is bad because it could break, but honestly, I really doubt it's going to break. So, I just want to get this to work. So one thing I always like to do in a lot of my code is I will do this where I do like an ls and a parent working directory just to see where things are and if they seem to be making sense. Oh, post clone, the cleanup will fail. Oh well. Oh, actually, I wonder if that's going to be a problem. Well, I'll deal with that once this actually gets running, I'll deal with the post clone and post run cleanup and see what we have to do. I want one problem at a time. What do you mean there's no... Oh, shoot. I know why this is erroring out. Because I moved the directory, which means that it had no working directory to start the action in. So what we need to do... I'm going to make notes. Moves the folders into expected structure and keeps old folders for cleanup and entry. All right. So why this was happening, why this was failing so fast had nothing to do with the ddev directory. It had everything to do with the fact that I moved the workspace directory, so it had nowhere to enter into because that was modified. So yeah, it was working by design all along. Oh, let's see. I don't want to push that yet. Do an amend. So that means I can probably fix this hard-coded path, but we'll see what happens. All right. So that explains why it wasn't working, because I deleted a directory. So let's see what we get now. Because the end goal, move repo into sandbox, and it just died. Why? Cannot create directory. File exists. Oh, I need to create it in here. There we go. Add GitHub amend. All right, so that makes sense. I was trying to recreate the directory we are already in, but I needed to replace the existing directories. And ddev.read to docs. So the one thing I want to see about is, it's running. In the sandbox, it's currently configured to have PHP 7.4 and Drupal 8. We're working on a new branch that will have PHP 8 and be Drupal 9. And there's also a Drupal 9 branch that will have let's just say Drupal 9 and 7.4. I want to see if there's a way we can run the ddev CLI to change those values without having to manually edit. So I don't think you can do that. Using the CLI, there's the config command, which I guess the one way to do it is to just dive into it. So let's see. I'm going to bump this up and I'll go to my commerce2.x ddev config help. All right, I want to see. Oh, it's running. All right. So it ran the develop rector. Now the main thing we want to see here is we want to look at all of our installed dependencies to make sure we got the correct. So downloading, we want to get down to the bottom, I bet. So PHP unit. Where's PHP stand, rector prefixed. Symlinking dev main from Drupal rector. I don't think this worked as I would expect because, let's see, it did a symlink. So this may not have worked as I would expected because it ran, it has a .lock file. What we need to do is remove the .lock file, I think. So it has a .lock file. And if we look at Drupal rector, it has the URL and a reference in it. So what we need to do, I bet, is, oh wait, dry run. Oh, it does this weird thing where it expects, okay, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's first go back to the context and expressions, the commit SHA that triggered the run. We want this. Does it give us the branch name? We get the reference, the format of ref heads. We don't want the base ref, the head reference. Nope. All right, we're going to take the SHA. We're going to try this. So what we need to do is we're going to do a composer install. Name, require current. Let's call it here. So we're going to do run ddev composer update, or rather ddev composer require Palantir. What's the Palantir net Drupal rector. Oh, let's try dev main. So when you do a require and you do a dev branch, you can provide the SHA and it will tag against that SHA. So what we're going to do here is force it to upgrade. So we'll try that. Composer require. Let's do a quick check on the composer docs. Documentation. Command line. I want to make sure that when we do a require, it'll add a new package. This update with all dependencies. Here we go. So the problem is we already have some dependencies that are tagged at a previous version and they won't update unless we pass this W flag. Also update dependencies of the newly required packages except those that are not in the root, including those that are root requirements. So let's do this. We'll go here. We'll try this lowercase one, and I'm going to go for the lowercase or the full one, so it's maybe easier to document or like easier to grok. So let's try that. So again, the problem that I saw here, not this error, we can fix that. I have that covered in a different workflow from an older pull request. The problem here is that oh no. Just the problem here, downloading, installing, is that it did a symlink of the repository, but used the main branch and that commit hash that it was last tagged at. We need it to be updated to the current one for the merge request. And to solve this failure, let's look back. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. This is my old pull request. That was like a big bang and a hot mess. Let's go to the files changed. We created a canary file. Run rector, debug, continue on error true. We don't want that. Test rector examples. Here we go. So inside the rector code, I don't have it open, but if you do a dry run, it is expected to return an error code of 1 if you're in a CI environment. So the idea is that you run a dry run, it's going to fail the CI, saying that there were changes made. But if it crashes, it will return a 255. And that is exactly what this line of code does. On a previous live stream when I was working on this before, I walked through it. But the idea is that we don't, if it is an exit code of 1, we are happy or we are okay with it. We expect an exit code of 1, but not a exit code of 255 or 0 because we're expecting something to run. So let me change this here. So this should fix the old version being installed or not the current merge request version. And this should fix that failure. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah, and then I want to look at configuring the PHP version from here. So we'll get to that. So let's do git add.github, git amend, do a force push. I'm going to quick just look at the files changed to make sure. Yep, looks like we're good. And let's wait for it to run. So the cool part will be we know our development environment or the sandbox environment works. And this sandbox environment that Palantir provides is how people can contribute rules for Rector. So that's how all this magic works is you create these rules and it finds, the rule definition. Now, this is a code sample. Well, that's actually not a great one. So here we go. So in here, deprecated method name, the example in the base. There's actually a lot of like base classes you can use. So I know this looks like a lot, but you write these rules and you can use their environment to run it and test it. I'm not going to admit that it's I'm going to admit that it's a very complicated task because you have to understand the PHP parser code and know how to write checks for that, like, refactor on a node if it's a function call that has a name that matches the deprecated method name. There's definitely a level of effort to write a rector rule, but there are a lot of helpers in there. But if we can test that the sandbox works with the latest version, we know that no one's going to try to write a rule and hit a bug. And that's exactly what happened when Ken from Palantir was trying to manually test the Rector 0.1 upgrade, worked on his host machine, didn't work in DDEV. We have no idea why, but we spent a lot of time discussing and trying to figure out where now that we have this workflow, we'll just know ahead of time. It's like, hey, we can't merge this because it breaks the it breaks the sandbox environment. So let's create the router. All right, the install here. So we'll see. So again, it did the install against the .lock file. We'll see that we got dev main. Okay. Require the current SHA. Could not find project in Rector. Have you run ddev config? Oh, man. I forgot the important working directory. So now we got to sit through that a bit. One thing I've wanted to do is try to contribute to make this action faster for setting up DDev. And I don't think there's much that can be done. Lando's like maybe like 20 seconds faster. But I know Lando doesn't set up mkcert or makecert where DDev does. So yeah, it's 20 seconds. Who knows why one's faster than the other. Or why Lando is a little bit faster than DDev for the setup and GitHub Actions. All right, so we're going to let that run. And I'm going to do some research ahead of time. I'm moving this over so I can see when this turns into a red X or a check mark. We're hoping for a check mark. So what we need to do is be able to change the project, not the project type, but the PHP version dynamically. So we can change the composer version, specify the doc root, the doc root string, fail on hook fail. Ah, perfect, PHP version. So what we can do is, I'm going to make it to do, add matrix for 7.4 and 8.0, run ddev.o, matrix.php. So we'll be able to run this in for both versions and verify that it works. All right, acquire. Palantir Drupal Rector exists in Composer repo and Path repo, which has a higher repository priority. The packages with higher priority do not match your constraint and are therefore not installable. Because we don't need dev main, because it's not on dev main, it's on this branch. So let's GitHub Actions get current branch name. We've GitHub ref as the only variable, includes the branch name. Oh, you can just extract a branch name from the rest of that string like this with two, what? So I don't know anything about bash. Like, so anybody who's like a bash expert like blows my mind. So the fact that this works, I'll take it. Let's see. So let's do some copy paste and see if this works. So the idea is that we need to say dev dash branch name # the SHA. And that SHA doesn't exist on the main branch. It exists in this issue branch, which is why we got that error. Fun. So let's do, not in that terminal. Let's add it, amend it, and push it. So I'm hoping this does it, and I'm hoping that folks find this interesting as a way to like add this kind of verbose testing. Because it's just that it's so tedious. This is the one part I hate about continuous integration work, is it is so tedious because you can't run it locally all the time. Circle CI has a great local runner. I'm tempted to try GitHub Actions on this, so I'm actually going to try the act. So I'm going to get Docker opened up and see if I can run it locally. It's just half the time is so much faster inside GitHub Actions because it only takes a few minutes. But I'll try. We'll see what I can do. Let's see. Docker Actions cache Docker images. I don't think this is possible either. Docker build Docker images using cache. We're not building. Are we building? No, we're doing pulls. I don't think cache Docker images. Let's see. No matter the package, you need blah, 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 blah. All right, so can you Docker? I don't know if you can use this to examples. We have the composer one, but we're not necessarily using that. We don't need to cache that. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be possible. Let's just see. Let's see if cannot find package with matching dev merge. Ah, man. All right, so that GitHub ref did not work. Setup job. Virtual environment. Token. All right, let's go back to here. And cannot find package with the matching. So it made it as the branch name is a merge. Let's see, environment variables. Branch that triggered the workflow, but why? Only set for pull requests, which we wanted on the main branch too. So we'll do a good old do a quick debug this way. And let's see. So that's in the environment variables. Let's go back to the context. So we get the ref. We don't want the ref's tag. Let's do Github Actions without ref's head. Environment variables. I get default current branch name and GitHub Actions. Git version. See that. Deep dive on pull requests. Oh, man. So that will get it from the release of the tags, but we don't want that. Well, while that's going, or while I'm trying to dig into it, let's just get this debug going. Sorry, GitHub, for wasting all the time. So are we going to run into problems with the hash not being on the branch because they're in the repository of the person not doing the pull request? That's a good problem. That's actually really, that's true. So I'm probably tackling this the complete wrong way. So the thing is that the branch should be, so the branch won't be in Palantir's branch, but I'm trying to tell it to use the symlinked version. So if we go to their So here, if we go to their sandbox environment and we look at the composer.json, it's set to pull it from a path, a local path, as a symbolic link. So we need to find out what the local branch name is inside the CI workflow and say dev dash that branch name with the commit hash. That's what I'm trying to do. So debug. So yeah, it's called just merge, and that's not the actual, that's the ref checkout. What is it checking out? So fetching the repository, like there's gotta be. Open the deltas. So, all right. So maybe I have a different plan. So new ref, determining the checkout info, switching to this remote. So, all right. So it's head is now at blah, 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 merge into, so there is no branch name. So I don't know how we can run the composer require here. So got a better idea. Let's just avoid the composer bits and so update Drupal Rector to current SHA. We'll try this. So working directory will be inside Drupal Rector sandbox and run. So this would be cd vendor Palantir net Drupal. Oh wait, not even that. We just got to do Drupal Rector and then git checkout the SHA. So actually, how do you git show current head? I can't think of this off the top of my head. So yes, if we did that, just try this out. And I'll explain what this is in a second. So the idea is we'll just cd into the Drupal Rector directory. Like as we saw here, move repo into sandbox. So there's Drupal Rector sandbox, and we have a Drupal Rector directory, which is what's being symbolically linked into the vendor directory. So this is my just quick debug to parse what's the current head branch. We're going to check out the current SHA, the merged SHA for the pull request, or if it's a commit to main. And I'm reprinting it out to make sure that we're there. I think this should be it. Just get this run actions checkout. So force, so yeah, so it does the force checkout here. We could probably run the same thing again. But let's see. Now, the real workaround would be to update the composer.json to look for the new path, but I want to try to preserve the sandbox as much as we can. And again, it'd be a lot easier if I just added this workflow to this sandbox, but I want to catch any changes ahead of time. So I'm definitely making more work for myself than there needs to be by doing this. But the idea is that any commit to Drupal Rector itself is validated to run against the sandbox, which we're encouraging contributors to use for writing Rector rules. I'm going to clean up some of my tabs real quick. Yeah, we don't need to worry about Docker cache. This is a neat idea, but does not work on merges because the branch name is called merge. And we're checking out a custom ref, not necessarily a branch. And Composer doesn't work that way. Composer needs a either release name or a branch name. Doesn't work on arbitrary references. So let's see. We got here. So now we have a green. Remember how this was failing before? Because I said in a CI environment, dry run returns an exit code of 1 because it's intended to fail your job if there's any changes that need to be made. So we're explicitly checking for an exit code of 1. If we get exit code of 1, thumbs up. If we got exit code of 0 or 255, 0 being no problems, 255 being fatal error, fail the build. So the head was previously here. Maybe it is working. All right, so I guess it is correct. Even though it was the composer install must have just done a symlink and not updated the reference. I swear when I did this locally, it installed the previous SHA, but we have it matching here. I wonder if there's a way that we could just compare this. Let's see. So let's try that. I'm just going to try to create a test. So let's do this. Name. Verify working on proper commit. CD Drupal Rector. Or I guess we can just do. No, know what? We'll just debug. Verify expected SHA. I can't think of the bash. I don't know. One thing I want to do is just have it like verify that they're equal to, but I don't know the best way to do that inside of like an inline in here. Like I don't think you can just do an if in here. But we'll assume that this is good because this is the same hash, which to me means that it's running. Director Drupal Rector ran. We got the expected rectors to run. So let's add the matrix in now. So I can never remember that. Let's call it strategy matrix. Oh, I can never remember how to do this. So let's look at something that has a ridiculous matrix. PHP stand Drupal. Workflows. So matrix, experimental false, PHP version. Let's do that. We should test 7.3, but we're having seg faults or Zend MM, some weird error, I think, due to opcache. So we're going to comment that out for now and just say that you need to do 7.4. So 7.4, 8.0 we want to test with. And we've got this command here. So uses. Although I just realized that if we go into here, I'm going to scroll down. It runs ddev start. Is there a way? Oh, I lost that tab. So what we'll have to do is name set PHP version for ddev. I'll have to run. So it would be ddev config PHP version. I'll have to do a ddev restart because this does not allow you to skip . this does not allow you to skip the start, as far as I can tell. Oh, lib. I was looking. Oh, there's the. No. There really is no uncompiled version of it. So yeah, else ddev start. So yeah, so if ddev dir is not equal to that, ddev start. So we're stuck running, or we're stuck having to do this because we cannot prevent it from starting. Get diff. All right. Let's add it. Let's amend it. I was really hoping to get to PHP unit today. But if we can get this working, I think this will be a big helper. So now we'll see that we have run on sandbox 7.4 and 8.0. So we know these should run, and we'll the real big kicker will be the real big kicker will be seeing if it works on PHP 8, or if this actually works at all with the composer install. I want to update the name because you can put the name in here. So name. We'll call it Rector Sandbox. Say with the PHP version, so next time it's a little bit more clear. All right, I'm going to watch the 8.0 because we know the 7.4 works. So I really hope this means we can test on PHP 8 and PHP 7.4 with the Rector Sandbox and verify that it runs. Because then we can commit this and hopefully debug why it was crashing with Rector 0.11. And get PHP unit tests so that way everything can run. And figure out why PHP stand was being broken. So let's see, ddev. Stop. No crud. Did I not specify the working directory yet again? I want to see. There's no way to output the. We do ddev describe. All right, I'm going to try that at least after this. I'm going to do ddev describe to see if we can get the PHP output and the PHP version output. All right, let's run this again. Let's make sure this works. So that should be all set once we get the ddev workflow, so we can figure out why. I'm going to try to do a little bit issue triage 2 in here and clean up my tabs. Just go keep that open. Copy. Oh, I opened this and okay. Well, let's see. This was found after, did we link it here? This error was due to Rector 11. Let's see. Let's go to this PR aims to add automated testing support for the sandbox environment. Closing. Let's see, I'm going to close this in favor of this issue, which I started a PR for. So I'm going to link these issues up. Come on, autocomplete. There's that one. And this one. Okay, copy this. I'm going to say, I'm going to call this a duplicate, marking as a dupe of. All right, what failed? 8.0. All right, let's see what failed. Let's verify, set up DDev version. You're reconfiguring a project. PHP version 7.4. All right, let's see about 8.0. All right, so it looks like we're gonna have to do something else. Okay, we can't just do a blind install, but we have PHP 8 installed. So that's where, okay, I think what we'll have to do is, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to do a composer update. Which stinks because that means, well, I guess then it ensures that this will work correctly. Git add, git amend. So it was cranky because it was saying that, you know, it had dependencies that weren't ready for PHP 8. Git amend, which actually I just realized that Drupal 8 doesn't run on PHP 8, so I guess we can't even test this yet. So yeah, I'm going to back out of this. No, let's do composer update. We'll keep the composer update. To do 8.0 is not supported on Drupal 8. Use with Drupal 9. Let's add in 7.3 testing. No, there's no need to add 7.3 testing, because I think 7.3 is just done for. So let's do git status, git add, git workflow, amend. All right. So I think this will be it. None. We'll be smooth sailing. We can verify that Rector Sandbox runs on 7.4. And with that, I'll want to see if this other one got merged yet. Honestly, all this came out of removing behat and testing a few different things. So we have this here. So now we're testing it. This functional test runs it like on a host, and this is like running it as a contributor using ddev. So then we can move on to adding PHP unit. Oh, and remove that to do. Actually, I want to check one thing quick. Let's go to the 8.9.x branch. Is there actually I want to see if there's a conflict. Composer, self.version. There's no, I don't think the conflict would be in core, or would be in that main branch, or in that main composer.json. It would be in the core one. I want to see if it actually conflicts with PHP 8. So it says PHP, it's an O, so that means it should take conflict. So I thought I was told that it can't run Drupal 8, PHP 8. Something didn't work right. Drupal 8.9 and 9.0 marked incompatible with PHP 8. Due to some of the dependencies. .1 has been tested with and works. Okay, so we cannot run PHP 8 with 8.9. And the reasoning I was told is there would be some backwards compatibility problems. So that's fine there. Why did this break? Due to composer update. Let's check this repo priority. So maybe we should do this exclude option into there. So let's go open a pull request. So let's go, nope, to Rector Sandbox. And let's edit. Oh, thanks for the follow, Red Brick. All right, so we're gonna go to Composer. Oh, wait. It doesn't even include the core. Oh, wait, no, that's right. It's custom. All right. Sorry, my brain kind of blanked out. So what we're going to say, oh, wait. Hold on. Filtering packages, type composer only. You can also filter package, which they'll be able to load. Only want to pick foobar. We exclude, which means both only and exclude should be arrays of package names. Drupal on Twitch. Yeah, I've been doing it for the past 2 months, maybe. June's been kind of a mess because of summer and baseball. So I haven't been as active on my Sunday live streams for Simply Test, and then Fridays for like my hack and plays. But I've been doing it for a little bit of a time now. And I'm currently trying to figure out how we can run Composer Update And root requires Palantir Palantir Drupal Rector dev main. Satisfiable from packages.org. But Rector dev blah 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 from path repo is higher repository priority. Oh wait, you can do dev dash a commit hash. Hold on, hold the phone. I think that might be the trick. So let's try something here. This is actually a good bug to figure out right now. So name, set Drupal Rector to current hash. So we're going to do working directory. Don't want to forget that. Drupal Rector sandbox. Run. We're going to do a composer require Palantir net Drupal Rector dev SHA. Now git compose. Oh, here we go. So to avoid this problem, let's go to the command line. You can do a require with no update. Do not run the install after updating the .lock file. Let's do no update. So if we do the require, it won't download dependencies. It's going to update our lock file. Then we can do ddev composer update. And that should make this run correctly, and composer update should run correctly. All right, let's try that out. So we're going to verify the expected SHA here. All right. Git add.github, git amend. No. Stop it. There we go. Push. All right, so we'll see if this works. So the problem is that with Composer 2.x, there's the idea of like canonical repositories, and it didn't know where to update from. Should it update from packages or should it update from the local path? Because the Git object was on both repositories, like both like package endpoints, if you will. But I didn't notice that you can do dev dash the SHA. And that's exactly what I just had this do now. Before I thought it had to be like dev dash branch name # the SHA, but that's how you just say a specific SHA on a branch name. You can actually target to a specific commit hash by doing dev/dev -SHA, which this commit object will be unique to the local path, so it knows to not use packages.org. I hope that makes sense. Before it in this documentation, it basically said that nothing was treated as a canonical repository, so it would just pick whatever. So it was undeterministic. Like you couldn't be sure what would happen. So now we're picking a unique commit object or unique Git object that's only available in the local path, which is defined here. So I actually don't need to make any changes. So I'm now pointing to a reference that only exists in the local path and nowhere else. So I'm going to leave this. We don't need a change here. Let's look at the sandbox. Still setting up ddev. So the thing here will be to make sure that set the current hash is correct, and that will debug it and it has the correct hashes. Fingers crossed. All right, so no update. So perfect. This is what we were expecting. It didn't error, so it updated the composer.json. We're running the composer update. Let's go to the install. So we should see. Well, let's see. All right. Stop. So install composer. Installing Palantir Rector, hash 333, that there. Let's search the logs. So we set it there. Upgrading. Okay, so that's one thing we do want to see. So it's upgrading Drupal Rector from dev main to the hash that is used for this merge commit. And you can see it's installing there via symlink. That's great. Upgrading. And twice, verifying the SHA. So this is all perfect. So it parsed it out. I'm just going to remove this debug statement because it's not needed. And everything passed. So that is awesome. So we can remove that. To do, that's not supported. Add. All right, I'm really confident in this now. Get amend. Git push. We got force push it. Okay, so I want to recap because my brain, I know, hurts over this. So what we've done is we've created a new workflow that takes the Rector Sandbox environment, which is a Drupal composer project that has some extra goodies in it to make sure that you can contribute to Drupal Rector. We're cloning it into the CI project, and then we're actually moving it into the layer directory above, and then copying over the Drupal Rector repo of the merge, either the merge or the main branch commit. We're then installing ddev into our GitHub workflow into this directory. I should try to change this to be relative, but if it works, I'm leaving it. We're then modifying ddev to use the configured PHP version because eventually we want to test on PHP 8.0 once we have Drupal 9 support. Because Drupal 8.9 does not work on PHP 8, nor does Drupal 9.0. PHP 8 will be required for Drupal 10, FYI. So we're modifying that. And then we're making sure that the reference in the .lock file for Drupal Rector is at our current SHA. And that SHA is either the merge commit hash, or it's going to be the one made against the main branch when it's merged in or however else. We're running composer update so that we just have up-to-date dependencies based on the PHP version. And also, what if the lock file is out of date? We want to have up-to-date things. And we're running Rector on a dry run, which dry run in CI returns an exit code of 1 if there's any changes to be made. So we're verifying that we get an exit code of 1 because we do know that there's changes to be made. We're running it against our examples. As you can see here, 79 files to change. We expect that. So if we get an exit code of 0, that nothing needs to be changed, that's a bad problem. Or if we get 255 due to a fatal error, we'll catch that here. So if we go back, we should see that it now has that debug step removed and it's cleaning up. Awesome. So this looks good to go. I'm really happy about this because now the sandbox environment that everybody uses is testable. So we got the PR ready. I'm marking the Drupal.org issue ready for review, and we'll save. And I close this one as a duplicate because I had created an issue, but then reused one that Ken had made. All right. So this took up more time than I was expecting. I do these for about 2 hours. I've got 20 minutes left. I want to figure out what we can do next. Let's see. Adding support for Drupal 9 is something I want to get to once we get the unit testing involved. Although I guess we could start there, but I really want to get some PHP unit involved. So what's this one? Tie it up to you. Currently I'll figure if I want to get my name added there or not. So yeah, so let's work on getting PHP unit. I'm gonna just quick copy this. All right, let's go and work on getting PHP unit added. We'll need to borrow some of the changes from this. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Let's just get started with it. We're on Rector 0.10. Let's get PHP unit added so that way we can have automated tests that make sure our rules are passing and that the integration is working as expected. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to get back into the main branch. I'm going to do a fetch prune of upstream. Nothing did get changed, so let's do get new branch issue dash node ID. And to get started, see, I wanted to get bhat removed, but we'll do a let's do composer install. Lock file's not up to date. All right, let's do composer update. Oh yeah, I had a way different environment set up. All right, so let's do let's look at my old pull request, because I had a pull request that basically upgraded to Rector 0.10, PHP stand, PHP unit, and various other fixes, and it was just huge. So let's go back to this, and files changed, and just start. We'll copy in a few things. So let's go to the composer. .json. It's like frozen. All right, so we have the requirement for vector prefixed, rector prefixed, Drupal finder, so that's what was added. This wonderful PHP unit hack. I don't think this was added in, but I think we found a different way to, yeah, that, hopefully we don't have to deal with that problem in here. So autoload dev, let's just copy this in. So we're going to create the test source directory. It's not found. So let's do new directory test source. And PHP Storm recognized we have this value and then marked test source as the test root. So let's add, okay, so we need to add composer require. So right now we have rector prefix, which means that we can't use a lot of the classes built into it. So a dev dependency is rector itself, the rector source. Now with rector 0.11, this got flipped on its head, but we have bugs that are preventing us from getting to 0.11. So we'll get test coverage in place so we can get to 0.11 and figure it all out from there. So let's do composer require, and we're gonna do --dev because we want these to be dev dependencies, PHP unit, and rector/rector. We want to match, I think ZCH gets cranky at the tilde key, so we're going to do 0.10.10. All right, great. And rector replaces the like if you install rector like the source or rector prefix, it will replace itself. So we can see here that everything is installed. If we look at vendor and at rector, we can now access all these goodies. And whoa, why? It should have replaced itself. Hold the phone. It should have removed rector prefixed. But it didn't. Oh, never mind. It did. Okay, so we're here. It should have uninstalled that, but it didn't. So if we look at source, where packages, let's see real quick. I want to get to one of my tests. Test. So we had the, all right, so Rector PHP unit config. This is when it was doing the integration test. So we'll just start here. We'll copy in this test again. This verifies that this deprecation index.yaml is parsable. So let's just start here. This is really nice basic test. So source there. Namespace, Drupal Rector test, which we have here, test source. Let's fix the code standards. So we have all this here. Let's run it. Oh, I need to copy in the, oh boy. Jump to PHP unit.xml. Let's copy this in. Paste that. Hit run. There's no default interpreter. All right, let's run it and see. Okay, so woohoo, it passed. Is only valid YAML. So that was really simple to do. We have PHP unit. Local static analysis PHP stand unit test. So let's add the unit, the file PHP unit.yaml. Let's copy this in here. So this is not what I originally had created for this file, I don't believe, but we'll go through here. So one thing that I had in the previous setup is it was installing a Drupal test fixture. I'm going to remove that for now. We're going to just worry less about the integration test at the moment and worry about getting it to run. And we don't need this verbose of a name because we're not using any other kind of unit test. So let's go ahead and start here. PHP version, we're going to do 7.4. Actually, what we should do is that's not the right pull request. Let's go here. Let's copy this strategy here. Runs on. I want this to run on 7.4 and 8.0. 8.0 all the time. And the PHP version, then we just select from, copy that, and we'll paste it into here. We don't need half of these extensions because we don't have Drupal running. So let's just delete that for now. Code coverage none. Works for me. Let's do this. So let's do git status. actually, to start, since it's the beginning of it, I'm going to do Command 0 to open the version control workbench, whatever you want to call this, in PHP Storm. Command D to view the diff. Yep, that's our workflow. That's our new test. We're adding an autoload dev, and we're adding PHP unit and Rector's source files. That way we can leverage its test. We'll do that next. And the what do you want to call this? The PHP unit file. And we need to update the git ignore to ignore PHP unit cache. Did I do that over here? Let's see. There we go. We'll make sure that's ignored as well. All right, let's get the commit message here. Let's do commit and push. Yeah, some warnings. Then we'll open the pull request tab. Let's go back to the list, click add. What we're doing, adding PHP unit for stability and wins. Not wins, wins. To test, clone locally, run PHP unit. Drupal.org issue link. Let's create the pull request. And now if we go over here, I'm gonna bring this over. I'm gonna update my thingy to be Palantir. Do needs review. Beginnings. And save. It's not too bad having the code on GitHub and managing issues on Drupal.org. Just the inability to cross-reference is a shame. And in case anybody was curious, I have experimented with being able to put projects on. So this is a regular like packages project. It's the static autoloader from PHP stand spun out into its own package. So I have it here, and on packages.org, it's actually reading from Drupal.org's GitLab instance. The only problem is that, see, git.drupalcode.org. The only problem is the testing infrastructure. Like, it requires a lot of different workflows and would put a lot of, effort on the Drupal Association. So like that's the one downfall. Like how many times did I run frivolous tests just now? A lot. And that's money that the Drupal Association has to spend to run those tests. They're not necessarily a VC funded. Well, GitHub's not VC funded anymore. They were acquired, but they are able to eat some of those costs, for lack of a better way of putting it, than the Drupal Association can. So that does make it a bit more complicated. So PHP unit, nice and fast. We passed on 7.4 and 8.0. So let's go ahead and start writing some tests for the rules that exist. I think this is pretty cool on how bring me here. Cool. So let's go to test source. We'll look at this here. So I'll actually just bring this whole thing. I'll just recreate this whole bit. Let's see if we can get this to work. It's right. We're in the source directory. New directory. There's a lot of boilerplate code here, but it's pretty neat how it works out. So we'll create a config directory in here, and then the fixture. So we'll walk through. I've already done this before, so I'm gonna kind of just go through it. I looked at the Rector repository and how to set this up. So there's the config directory, which has the configured rule in it, which we go in here. Says that this is the rule we want to test, is the date time zone Rector rule, which replaces the datetime storage time zone with the the interface name and the constant on the interface. And it's telling Rector that this is the one Rector rule that is being run. Then we go to the fixture, which is the sample file. So let's create this file. No, new file. We add it, and it's actually 2 files in one. It uses the several dashes. If you've ever looked at PHP's actual test cases, it has these as well, where this separator is used to say, like, this is the original file, this is the destination file. We're getting these warnings because we don't have a Drupal code base installed, so it can't be resolved. And all the times that I wrote these tests, I had that fixture available, so we're going to see if this runs properly without needing a Drupal code base available to you. Now we're going to make our actual test. And that goes in here, this directory, and do a bit of a copy paste. It's really simple, and I'm hoping this encourages other folks to contribute tests. So you can see we're extending the abstract test case, and all you have to do is you write this test method and does a this do test file info, provide the data. Well, we're going to provide the files from this directory, from this fixture we have here, and the config path is here. So there might be a way to make this more usable over like time, or maybe to make it easier to test multiple rules with one setup. But this is it. Anybody should be able to contribute these tests fairly easily. You create a configuration which says this is the rule we test. Create the fixture, which you can basically copy everything from this Rector examples. That's even what I did. And then you write the test, and we're going to run it and see what happens. This is taking a while. Oh, unexpected T implements on. I have PHP 8 on my system, so let's see if that's why. So let's do a brew unlink PHP link 7.4. Let me unlink PHP 8 and get back to 7.4. If you use Mac OS and you have to toggle between, I got this on the internet from somewhere. I am sharing it in the chat. So if I go to PHPV, yep, we're back down to 7.4. Composer let's look here. Refresh. It's probably going to be even more broken because I have dependencies that assume PHP 8. Oh, let's do a composer update real quick. And see if, all right, nothing needed to be updated. Rector installs abandoned, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's do PHP. I'm just running it from here really quick to see. Oh, man, I don't want to have to debug PHP stand today. I'm getting real tired of having to xdebug this. Man. Unexpected T implements on line 17. Unexpected. Let's see I need to, let's check a few things real quick. All right. I'm going to delete. I'm deleting my vendor directory. Which is always a stupid idea to do inside of PHP Storm. Let's do composer update, pause indexing. I just want to get a fresh start on my vendor dependencies just to see. So it's still installed Rector prefixed and Rector, but they're supposed to replace themselves. At least that's what happened last time. When I did this the first time around, they say that they replace each other. Require dev, replace. Oh, wait. Rector. Prefixed. Conflict. Oh, it's not here anymore. Well, this isn't Composer 2. Because I was using Composer 2 with this last time. But what is supposed to happen, or what happened when I worked on this a few months ago, is that Rector prefixed uninstalled whenever Rector was present when using 0.10. And it's completely different with 0.11, but we're having other bugs with 0.11, so yay, everything's a mess at the moment. All right, let's wait for the indexing. But yeah, Composer 2 threw some curveballs, especially, Composer 2 coming out as Drupal users are upgrading from 8 to 9. And we use like the patches as library, which needed to be upgraded. And yeah, all those fun problems. All right. Let's make sure I have these tests set up correctly too. So let's go to packages, testing, PHP unit. Still indexing. Like, where are all of the github.com? Whoa, computer. Rector PHP. So now in this Rector source, which I don't know if I can even get back to. It's following the same way that PHP stand does development, and I don't think there's any way to really get back to the way it once was. 0.10.20. Let's go to this tag. All right, so tests. See. PHP parser, where are the rules? Packages test. Let's see if it's in here. Nope. Where did I copy the testing from? Let's look at Rector Symphony. Let's just see in here. So tests, Rector. All right. Test. I copied this from somewhere. Attribute. Sure. Git test Rector. Let's just do some comparison. Configured rule. Yield files from directory. So we could have multiple. So if we could use multiple fixtures. All right. Get request Rector test. There we look basically the same. In the config, basically the same. Fixture. Again, this is basically the same, so I don't know why PHP stand's broken. And that means I will have to do debugging. All right, let's go down the rabbit hole. Okay, so PHP stand. Where is this coming from? Inside the var, PHP stand, the var, source, parser. We're in the rich parser on line 38. Oh, Senator Ron Johnson is calling me right now. I really want to answer that because that would probably be a hoot of some kind of robocall. All right, let's do debug. And there's the error right away. Okay, let's see if we can figure out from this exception that's here. So maybe I should back up too for a second on how I got to run here. So I have my PHP unit set to run. It's configured, points to the autoloader, give a refresh, and it's pointed to the .xml file. And when you press the play button up here with PHP Storm, it just runs the test, or you can run them with the debugger. Doing this in VS Code, no idea. I don't use VS Code because I work a lot faster with PHP Storm. But that's how I got to here, and I have Xdebug on my machine. So I was able to get to this breakpoint. We can start figuring out why this is broken. So file, iterable.stub. So wait, so parsing its own stub file is causing the crash. Iterable.stub. Yeah, PHP Storm rocks. I don't know how long I've had PHP Storm now. It's been years or so. But I pay for the full toolbox, so I use WebStorm, PHP Storm, Goland. I use IntelliJ when I'm messing with Rust or anything else. And I think it's like $200 a year now because it gets cheaper. The longer you pay for the toolbox, it gets cheaper. And it easily pays for itself in my productivity. So let's see, line 23. In 23, syntax error implements extends. Oh, well, what? Unexpected T implements expecting blah. Why? Well, I guess one thing is, let's see, why is it? Is there a reason why it's reading the stubs? Let's try to go back up. Why did it pick up iterable.stub? Class name, date, time zone. Oh, I know why. Shoot. So if it cannot find a class, it will load a stub file. So if we look here and we look at stubs, Symfony, bundle, framework bundle, let's just get to one here. It adds this code. So if the class exists, it bails out. Otherwise, it defines it. So if we were to look here at our configured rule, the fixture, actually where? So is it trying to load a stub for this? Let's go back. So I'm going to get back to where we were. Runtime reflection, class name is date time zone. So it can't find that. So it's looking, initialize known elements. PHP doc, stubs. Yeah. But like, why is it trying to look up date time zone when that's a known runtime? But that's the part that I don't get here. Class name is reflection class date time zone. Hold on. I'm gonna do, so one thing you can do too with breakpoints is you can right click on them and put conditions. So I'm gonna do class name is equal to date time zone. I'm gonna click this button here to rerun. All right, so if is set. It's not set. Class reflection. It dies. Why? All right, back up. Step over. This reflection provider, get reflection provider, get blah. There's a lot of stuff. Step in, load class, step out. This get container by type. So it's getting all the reflection providers. So let's step over, get registry, annotations, properties, this registry, class reflections, okay. Find, okay. Find class PHP doc. No idea what this means, but we'll go through. So, but we're in the stub PHP doc provider. So is known class name, step over, initialize known elements, this initializing stub files. It's parsing all the stub files and it dies. So, let's go to github.com, PHP stand, issues. Nope. Seriously? Nothing? All right. Well, this is just fun. Stubs, let's look at iterable. And it is complaining at this line 17. Yeah, line 17. Extends traversable, but why? Like it's in here. Let's do a blame. 2 years ago. Oh, thank you for the subscription. All right. I don't know why this is broken, but I do need to finish up because I'm a little bit over 2 hours and I want to eat some dinner before this baseball game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this. I'm actually not going to do a squash commit here or an amendment. I'll do that at the end. At the end, I'll probably rebase this. I want to keep this history intact because so I usually squash all my commits to 1 just to make it easier for when we merge. But in this case, I want the history because we have something broken. I want to track the history now. I can rebase it into a single commit later on. We're having errors at the PHP stand level. Yeah, so let's just do a commit and push there. And go back to viewing this. Let's see. And this should fit. Before I sign off, I just want to see if it fails. Let's run it again. I want to say thanks to Palantir.net for sponsoring this time to get Drupal Rector over the edge and for maintaining the project and ensuring that it's ready for Drupal 10. If you are looking for work, they're hiring a Drupal engineer. So hit them up. Let's see the error again. This unexpected T implements. PHP 8 was killed ahead of time. Yeah, I'll probably open an issue on PHP stand and ping Andre over that. But we'll see why this is happening. So thanks. I do this every Wednesday for Drupal Rector and the D10 readiness. On Fridays, I do a hack and play. This Friday, I'll actually be contributing to Drupal Commerce around some layout builder bugs. So that will be fun. And then on Sundays, I'm getting back to my simplytest.me contributions at 10 a.m. Central on Sunday. Or follow me on Twitter to see when I do stuff, or, follow me here so you get the notification when I go live. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this was interesting as I worked through getting, testing a DDev environment inside of a GitHub Actions workflow, and then getting PHP units set up and, just debugging all of that fun. So thanks and have a good one.